Hey everybody, I just want to say two things super fast before getting into the interview. This gentleman who I interviewed, Faris, he did a really good job at breaking into cybersecurity without having any prior experience. Not only he went through CourseCareers, but he did a bunch of stuff on his own as well. And I was super impressed with his resourcefulness. So definitely watch this interview, pay special attention to what he's doing if you're trying to get into cybersecurity as well. Definitely, I think it will help you out a lot. And the second thing I want to say really fast is I'm releasing a course on how to get into cybersecurity as fast as possible from April. So if you're watching this after April, look in the description for a link to that. But yeah, on to the interview. So hey everybody, my name is Josh Madakor. I'm a YouTuber and the CourseCareers instructor for the IT course. And then we have Faris here who agreed to come on and be interviewed. He went through the course and then subsequently got a job. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Cool. Glad to have you. So before you actually went through CourseCareers and decided to get into IT or cybersecurity or whatever the case may be, what did you do kind of beforehand?
Most of my experience is in actually behavioral health or caregiving. While I was doing the caregiving jobs, I'm currently still doing my bachelor's degree in Arabic and Middle East Studies.
Oh wow.
So I'll be done with that in May actually of this year, 2023.
Gotcha. Oh,
Yeah.
that's very cool. Actually, I feel like government will try to swoop you up or something.
Yeah. And the main reason I decided to switch to IT is just because I just don't know what I would do with the degree. I mean, I can go into government, but I'm not too sure if I want to stay in the country, that kind of thing. And then if I wanted to pursue a higher education, it would really be comparative literature or more Arabic. So I think it was just more, I wanted something that would offer flexibility, and I always had an interest in IT. So it just I decided to start working on a possible alternative option just in case by the time I graduate, hey, I can decide if I want to continue with Arabic or already have something lined up by the time I graduate.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, that's very cool. So from the time you actually started the CourseCareers course to the time you finished it, do you remember about how long it took you?
It took me about 7 days. I believe it was January 10th, I believe, to January 17th. Yeah.
Dang, is that quick, huh?
Yeah. But I was lasered in the program. I was just focused, taking notes, and doing everything. So it was just more, I had more free time. It was just before the spring semester started for this year. So I just had all the free time in the world, and I work overnight typically. So I just worked everything, as I would normally do in my school time.
Gotcha. That's smart. So from the time after you graduated and then the time you got a job, were you kind of looking for jobs before you graduated, or did you finish the course and then start looking for jobs, or how did that go?
I think once I finished the GitHub portion of CourseCareers, that's when I started looking for jobs because I had the portfolio ready. I was working on my resume. I was developing my LinkedIn profile and started to network with different recruiters and different companies. So by the time I finished CourseCareers on the 17th of January, I pretty much had everything organized and started applying much more. Yeah.
Do you remember about how many applications you put in until you actually got hired, or
Yeah, so I put in a lot. I think on just Indeed alone, I put in maybe 150 applications.
Damn.
And then on LinkedIn, I put in probably about the same, maybe close to 200. I do want to say that it could have probably been faster if I filtered a little bit more. So initially, I was just doing the easy applies. I was just doing basically looking for the IT help desk positions that were remote. I wasn't looking for anything that was on site or local. And sometimes I would just get responses, sometimes scam emails, not really the best.
Sorry,
but I just decided, yeah, it was really unfortunate. However, with the Discord, it really helped me because I was able to decide or kind of figure out if it was legitimate or not. So Discord is really useful in terms of just having a second or third eye to like look to see if this is legitimate or not, right?
Yeah.
And then once I started changing my tactics, I think around 150 applications, I decided like, yeah, this is not really working what I'm doing. Maybe it's my resume, maybe it's my cover letter. So I started to essentially kind of just look at different resume styles that I find appealing visually, but also check the ATS checkers. And I found one from YouTube and that started getting hits. I started getting like responses. Then I optimized my cover letter and my job description using ChatGPT. So that's been a huge resource.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had like a medical healthcare kind of psychiatry background with my jobs. And then my major is Arabic. So really diverse background, but non-technical at the end of the day. So just having like ChatGPT entering prompts, make this job description more technical, right? And for example, I worked in kind of an inpatient hospital. I do remember at each meetings we mentioned that basically that there's we have a discharge rate, a successful discharge rate, and it's roughly 95%. So I would just enter I contributed to a successful discharge rate of 95%. Just kind of pulling like things that's mentioned at work is really important as well.
Yeah, quantifying your experience, kind of. That's smart, I feel.
Yeah, even maybe you didn't directly do that, you're part of a team, so you kind of did do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So on LinkedIn, one thing that really did help is filtering for the job applications that have under 10 applicants. I think once I started doing that actually I got responses, I was getting calls and everything. It was just way more quicker.
Yeah.
Because it's really either jobs that were posted less than 24 hours and it hasn't been picked up by everyone else, or it's jobs that are probably not remote and people don't have direct access to. So if it's close by, less than 10 applicants, it's kind of a win-win really by doing it that way.
Yeah, that's really smart. I always recommend people. I don't even mess with the other ones. I always tell people like filter by 10 applicants because there's like a lot of jobs with that filter on anyways. Well, depending on where you live, I guess.
Yeah.
So I saw in the Discord you had a few interviews, right? You had was it like 3 or 4 or something like this?
Yeah. I had one. So my first ever interview, right after I finished the CourseCareers, was with a company called StreamSets. I'm not sure if I can say that, but
I can.
It was called StreamSets. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's called StreamSets, and it was for a technical support engineer position, and it was completely way above my head. They wanted to build a data pipeline, which I was able to do. However, they wanted me to explain the very nuanced technical parts of building the data pipeline, and that was really tough. I was able to get through it and explain it in layman terms, but I think they were looking for more in-depth kind of knowledge.
Was that like a
little bit
homework they gave you? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was like a homework assignment essentially, and
Okay.
it had a little bit of like coding in it, which not really too in depth with coding, but I can like kind of determine what some things say and how it functions by just reading the code. Some of it is kind of plain English, but yeah, it was pretty tough. Yeah, and then afterwards, I had a few interviews. Help desk, recently technical support rep. So, and then the SOC analyst as of this week. Yeah.
And the SOC analyst is the one that you got, right?
Yeah, that's the one I got. Yeah. I was just applying to really everything, cloud engineering, IT help desk, technical support engineer, technical support representative, whatever the job description is. But the SOC analyst really worked out for me more because it was I was studying for Security Plus either way. I think that was like the next step I was going for. And it was just a little bit more, it didn't require coding, and it was easier to translate what I learned from CourseCareers into the SOC analyst role.
Gotcha. Can you talk about that interview a little bit? You don't have to like give the exact question or anything, but like, was it difficult? Like, what kind of topics, I guess, was in there?
It was pretty easy overall. I mean, they asked roughly 4 to 6 questions. I mean, I'll say like the first 2 questions is tell us about yourself, why you're interested in the role, really basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other 4 questions were more a little bit more technical, but it was scenario based.
Okay.
So, what if someone gives you a computer with a malware on it? What would you do? And you just answer basically something around the lines of you would disconnect it from the network, ensure that it's contained, eliminate whatever malware, and basically ensure like remedies towards removing the malware and make sure that everything's okay. And then afterwards, do proper documentation. So,
Do you,
really simple, clean response, but it ensures every step of the way. And they had different questions like, what's the difference between a false positive, false negative, true positive,
oh,
right?
nice.
So, yeah, so really baseline questions. Then the other set of questions they ask is more what you have in your resume.
Mm-hmm.
So on my resume, personally, I put Python, R code, and also SQL, just because I've done some projects with those. So they ask like, "Oh, what's your experience with Python?" And I did some data analytics on Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate on Coursera. I did the
Oh,
IBM Data Science Professional Certificate. So I just kind of mentioned the projects I did there.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, because I know I looked at your LinkedIn and you didn't just do CourseCareers. So it looks like you have like the
Yeah.
Google Data Analytics cert and like the IBM one, and then do you do anything else or get any other certs, or like kind of what you're kind of studying Security Plus now or something?
Yeah. So I guess just to give context, before CourseCareers, I did the Google Data Analytics certificate. Then I did the IBM Data Science certificate, and I got like a data analytic internship that wasn't paid, but it was just really to build projects and experience.
Mm.
Then I started CourseCareers on the New Year's. So the CourseCareers really helped with building projects and really that in-depth knowledge that I was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I completed CourseCareers, what I really did was I joined a cybersecurity program where it was really over 500 applicants,
Wow.
and I was selected in the top 10%,
Oh, wow.
just because of my course, my resume and everything, and also my purpose of statement.
Mm.
So that program is really what helped me talk about more things security related on the interview.
Gotcha. That's cool. Is that program just like a group kind of thing, or what kind of a like a public thing anyone can
It's
apply?
pretty, yeah. So it's public; anyone can apply. It's with the Washington Center.
Mm.
I'm not sure. They have really strict criterias. I think you have to be enrolled in any bachelor's degree or some sort of higher education, and you just have to have an interest in cybersecurity and submit your resume, submit your statement of purpose, and I think that was about it. However, it was pretty easy. I'll be honest. If you do CourseCareers, I mean, everything just kind of makes sense afterwards.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, everything just kind of makes sense. So yeah, just doing little things in between as well to complement your experience with CourseCareers really helped for me at least. I would do things on Discord like set up roles and manage the server, and then just kind of like putting the logic together. Like, all right, I'm on Discord, setting up roles, setting up channels, setting up categories. That's kind of like Active Directory in a sense to me. Just
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
putting everything
Permissions.
together. You're setting up roles, yeah, and permissions. You're managing permissions,
Yeah.
and when you mention that like in an interview, you can say maybe that's your only experience, right? You only have experience with Discord, but you can flip it to make sense in an interview. Like
Yeah.
I set roles for a Discord server, and I only allowed. It's called least privilege in Security Plus, I believe.
Yeah.
So then that way,
That's funny.
certain roles can only do more than their basic duties, right?
Hmm.
So you just have to throw in some buzzwords and just make it relate to your experience, whether it's Discord or any personal project you do. Yeah.
That's really good advice. I think that's going to help whoever's watching this, because as somebody who's hired people before, like even if they saying like I've set up access controls in Discord and I implemented least privilege, that's like way better than saying like nothing at all, right? It's like really good actually.
Yeah.
It's as good as like working somewhere and doing it, because they can see that like at least what you're talking about, right? And you can apply that to wherever you want.
Right.
Yeah. Also, you're like really proactive. I want to say like good job, because you're like super proactive about doing what you can to get different information. And it really seemed to work out really well for you. So I hope people can kind of learn from that.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I would say the biggest thing is just leveraging LinkedIn. Get all the information you can get from there. I mean, follow people that you're interested in their industry, and really just joining groups on LinkedIn, and just networking. If you're interested in a company specifically, look at the recruiters, look who's the hiring management, and apply to those jobs. Message them, say, hey, I'm interested in your company. Can we talk over coffee or something? And just kind of build a relationship. And I think another tip I would mention is what I've noticed throughout my experience is what really helped me is networking, just socializing, being sociable. When I spoke with the recruiter, basically I actually applied for an IT help desk job with this current company, and I spoke with the recruiter. We hit it off, and he actually pushed for me to be in the SOC team. So I applied for the help desk, but because I showed I was interested in cybersecurity and we were hitting it off, he got me a position in the SOC team.
So
good. Just talk about your interests, be genuine about it, and it usually works out. That's what I think. It usually works out.
Good job. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. For the SOC position, you didn't start yet, right? You just got hired, and then you're still kind of waiting to go through orientation and all that?
Yeah, I just got the offer letter, and I signed it and sent it back to them.
Did they tell you like what you're going to be doing? Like you have to go into somewhere, and do they talk about the environment at all yet, or it's kind of mystery still?
Yeah, so actually, I guess it's another point that people can use. I'll just show it to you. I don't know how well it captures on camera, but so about 3 days before I did the interview, I was already studying for Security Plus, regardless, right? And I just took a bunch of, I don't know if you can see that properly.
Yeah, kind of see.
Kind of, but half of the book I was taking notes. I wrote, about 100 pages of notes.
Wow.
And then once I got the interview set up, I did some more research on the company. I researched like the position, kind of like their mission statement, how that relates to me. And at the end of the interview, what was really important was that I had a few questions to ask them. I think that's really important. So I kind of wrote down I made 7 questions or so.
Okay.
That's probably
it's blurring it out. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I did 7 questions. Then I narrowed it down to 4 questions. But basically, a few of the questions were something like, what are some of the biggest challenges facing the SOC team currently? And, just kind of ask them things and show interest, but also what you're walking into. You don't want to walk into a giant red flag and everything's on fire. And, so...
Yeah.
And then I just kind of also ask questions, how they handle incidents that occur outside of regular business hours. I also asked, who was the most recent person to get a promotion, what values and qualifications made them stand out. And then my last question was, do you have any questions or hesitations about my qualifications or experience? So those were the 4 questions I actually asked them afterwards. So I got an idea what their values were. I got an idea what I was walking into. I got an idea how they handle their incidents. And I got an idea what they thought about me during the interview through those 4 questions.
Those are great questions, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So did you have to, or can you, I guess first, can you give us a ballpark of your salary? Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah. So initially during the phase with the recruiter,
Hmm.
he told me the ballpark would be 45,000 to 55,000. Then after the interview, he gave me a call. He said everything went well. They really enjoyed the interview, my answers, and everything, and they gave me an offer of 55,000. So the
They
highest,
offered
the highest of
55.
the range. Yeah, yeah.
That's good. You didn't have to negotiate or anything. They just gave you the top of the range.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't have to negotiate. I was just very transparent with the recruiter, which maybe it doesn't work for everyone, but I just told them like, hey, this is what I'm making at my current job, 17 an hour. I'm just looking at least $20 an hour. You know, that
damn.
was, I was very transparent initially, and so $20 an hour would have been like, I don't know, 38,000 a year roughly, I think.
Damn, they gave you
So
decent.
you know, yeah, so it was more than what I was hoping for. So yeah.
Yeah, congrats to you. I feel it's hard to get into. Is this your first IT job?
Yeah, this is my first IT job
Okay, this
ever.
video is going to be really good because it's really hard for people to break into IT, or sorry, break into cybersecurity without being in IT first. And I always tell people like you can, but you have to like bring some A+ game, and you have to do more, right? And
Right. Yeah.
you're a really really good example of that. You did a lot of stuff, and you're really resourceful. So I think this is going to be like really really helpful for people. So
Yeah. I really hope it helps people. Just
damn.
have good time management skills and work on different things, different certificates, and just find a way to like bring everything together. I'm not sure if I could show like my cover letter, but in my cover letter, I just listed literally all my experiences. But the way I listed it was, um, so I worked at a bank at one point. So in my cover letter, there's a section talking about my experience at this bank as a teller. I gained skills in sales and communication. At my experience at this hospital, I gained skills, to de-escalate situations with customers or clients, and just kind of bring everything together. Even if it's just a bunch of random experience in different industries, you can tie it all together somehow and knot it in a nice presentation. And you can use ChatGPT to like help you tie it all together as well. So that's really a big resource. Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna help me too. Actually, I'm gonna like
Oh,
revamp some of
really?
my courses based on the stuff you're saying.
Yeah, I hope so. That'll be amazing. I would like to like see how you revamp everything together.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'll show you. And then I was gonna ask you something else. I can't remember what it was. Um,
Hmm.
Gosh. Anyway, that's so cool. But do you? I guess do you have any? Oh yeah, that's what it was. The
Oh,
resource
okay.
the resources you use, like they're not that expensive, right? Like the IBM cert and like the Google cert, it's like not that much. It's like $50 a month or something, or how much were those?
Yeah. So cool thing is if you're able to do it in 1 week, the free trial, it's free.
Hmm.
So you just have to be really proactive. Let's put it that way in getting it. So for the Google Analytics certificate, I did it in 1 week. I really pushed through it. Then I also did the Google IT professional certificate.
Hmm.
That took me a bit longer just because the Linux portion, I was just not used to Linux, and the labs they had in it was just very weird. They
Hmm.
used quick labs, and quick labs wouldn't save your progress.
Oh my god.
However, that took me about a month. Then previously, the IBM data science, it took me about a month to complete as well.
Sure. Is that
So
in Coursera too? The IBM one?
yeah, it's in Coursera. Yeah,
Okay.
that's definitely the hardest course I've ever taken in my life. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it's Python, it's data cleaning, data scraping, it's a little of everything. It's pretty tough. I think it's really advanced actually.
Mm.
Um, but I think another tip maybe is what I did personally was I had a little accountability group. So whether that's on Discord or just myself, what I would do is I would stream on Twitch, even if there's one viewer, two, three people, studying along.
Hmm.
You kind of feel like you have to go through this and just complete what you set yourself to start in the beginning. So just maybe live streaming, or maybe going on Discord, in the CourseCareers Discord, and just live streaming your study sessions, and just kind of going through it, just to hold some accountability to yourself. And, a little pressure isn't too bad, I think.
Gotcha. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Cool. And then finally, kind of wrapping things up, and this isn't necessarily related to CourseCareers per se, but just anyone watching this who wants to get into IT or cybersecurity, do you have any kind of like final advice or thoughts that you can give them to kind of help them in some way?
Yeah, I would say overall, just be proactive. So once you finish CourseCareers, for example, look for other resources, other programs. After CourseCareers, I went to do the Cybersecurity Accelerator program with the Washington Center, and also just applying to jobs, studying for Security Plus, and talking to recruiters and telling them, hey, even though I don't have experience in cybersecurity, I'm working on my Security Plus certificate, or maybe it's the ISC squared certificate, or you're learning about Qualys vulnerability management, for example. Just those kind of things that are actually free resources. I believe the ISC squared is free, or just about $50. It's a little bit easier than Security Plus, but you'll have that foundational knowledge. And the Qualys vulnerability management courses on their website is actually free, so you could take a lot of notes over the weekend. And yeah, that helps prepare for the interview, because now you know how to do vulnerability management and continuous monitoring, which is really what they're really looking for. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Those are some good resources. I didn't know Qualys had free training, so that's pretty dope, actually.
Yeah.
And I was gonna ask you something else. Oh my gosh, what was it? It was important. Oh, not really important, but it just something that came into my head when you were talking about how during your interview they asked you, what do you do if someone gives you a virus computer? Like the way you described it, that was like in line with NIST's incident response process. Did you know that, or was that like you know it? Okay.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, it was incident response. Yeah, incident response, vulnerability management. Yeah, I studied for every little scenario as possible. Definitely study for it.
I feel you deserve every success that you get. You put a lot of effort, and it worked out really well. So
yeah, definitely. I think also just documenting your story really helps. I use LinkedIn to document my story. So you could put under experience career transition. And the way I did it was, I listed in September 2022, I developed an interest with data analytics. So I did the course, and around November, I did an internship. However, I kind of realized I didn't like data analytics, or I had an issue with it. And then I transitioned into CourseCareers so I can have basic help desk skills. And, you just kind of document your journey, and it just works out, because that also shows that you're serious about what you're doing when you document everything and just write down as much as possible. Because I think eventually, I'm not sure, but from what I understand, the higher you go into IT, it's going to be more about reports and documentation. So it's just kind of important to build that technical writing skills from the start, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on here. Really appreciate it. This is a really good interview. I know for sure it's going to help a lot of people. So thanks again for that.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.